G'day everyone, my name's Rob, and today I want to show you how to set up these TuffBlocks so you can use them as a foundation for a deck, a shed, and in my case, I'm going to be building a sauna. So I do want to show you how to set these up correctly, but they are a brilliant alternative compared to digging holes and putting stumps in the ground and concreting them in place. So there are a lot of benefits to using these, and we'll go into those a bit later. But for now, let's mark out where we want to put these, and I'll show you how to prepare the ground.
It's always good to go into these things with a little bit of a plan, and I'm just putting some marks on the ground to get a rough size of the sauna I want to build in between the fence and the tree. I also want to consider the standard sizes of material so that I don't have really big offcuts and any waste. I'm also working with some timber that I've salvaged, so I know what spans and dimensions I'm working with, which basically means I need 6 footings. So this part isn't exactly rocket science. Scrape away a bit of the dirt so that you've got room to add crushed rock back in the hole and create a firm footing. But I just want to note, I've made things a little bit bigger than I need them to be. I'm a big fan of having wiggle room. It just helps to adjust things as you go and make sure everything lines up.
All right, things are starting to take shape. Now, I'm not quite finished, and I do want to keep things a bit fair. Now, I am a professional builder, I'm a carpenter. I do have a lot of specialty tools and professional grade tools, but I appreciate a lot of you out there are a bit more on the DIY side of things. So this here is kind of the professional solution to packing down the gravel and dirt. It's just a tamper. Now, we could improvise something like that with just a flat bit of wood. This is an offcut of decking. I'm assuming if you're building something, you're gonna have some timber laying around that we can use. Now, if you want to get on your hands and knees, you can use a mallet, just like that. If you prefer not to get on your hands and knees, what I've got here is just an old timber post. I will be repurposing this later in this sauna. It's basically doing the same job as one of these. So all these holes, all this ground is really uneven as far as heights are concerned. I can guarantee you none of these footings line up height-wise just yet. So I do have some gravel still in this bucket. I'm going to put that in handfuls, get things packed out nice and level. I can build up the height a little bit more, but I do plan on using timber to build up the subfloor instead of using gravel. So right now, I just want to make sure when we put our TuffBlocks on these pads, the TuffBlocks themselves are sitting level in both directions.
This process can be a little bit of trial and error, but basically you just want to put handfuls of gravel in, pack it down, check, recheck, until you're happy with where everything is sitting.
So there we are, TuffBlocks on the ground. This is a nice firm foundation, but we're not quite finished yet. It is important for me to show you building up the subfloor and the way that I want to do it, and I'll give you a few examples of other ways you can do it and the types of timbers that this will accept. There are 4 different sizes of timber that you could fit in here, and that is going to influence how you can build. So as I was saying, this can accept 4 different sizes of timber in 2 different directions. So you can put joists through it on the flat. Now you'll accept a 45mm or a 35mm joist in one direction or the other. There's different gates here on the TuffBlock, and you can also fit a stump. So you can fit a 90x90 stump or a 100x100 stump. They both lock in depending which way you orient them. So one will fit one way and then you can clock it, and the diagonals will hold 100x100. So for me, I'm using 90x90 stumps and bearers. I have some leftover timber. I'm going to be repurposing that. That's why I haven't taken too much time to get all these TuffBlocks the same height as each other. Because I'm using stumps, I can work with the uneven ground, cut my stumps to different lengths. I'll show you how to do that. And that's going to make sure my bearers are nice and level with each other. So I'm going to start by cutting these 3 bearers to 1800, and then I can use the offcuts as stumps, and that way I make sure I don't run out of material and spend more than I have to.
Using these TuffBlocks has already given me a massive head start compared to digging and concreting in traditional stumps. I found I saved about an hour per stump when building this frame, and you're about to see just how quickly this whole subfloor goes together.
Now these are all relatively close to the same height, so the stumps won't have to be very long. Some will be shorter than others. So I'm going to just start with an arbitrary number. I'm basically just going to cut this to a nice neat square finish, put it in position, put a level on it, and then I can start measuring to the level, and that's going to help me determine the height of every other stump. So here we go, first stump. I'm going to chuck that there. For now, I just want to get all my timber cut to the right length, and I do plan to paint it once everything is cut to the right size. So when you're working on your own, it's also a bit tricky sometimes to hold a level and then measure at the same time. So I'm just going to use a clamp. I can focus on getting the level where I need it. I don't have to look at the bubble on the level. I can just focus on measuring. And now I can cut my next stump. There we have it, perfectly level. So for the sake of the example, this is what I'm aiming for. And I do have a little bit of overhang, which is deliberate. So when it comes time to finishing off the base of the sauna, I can hide all of the framework just by putting some plinth boards or some treated pine sleepers or something like that, just to finish things off neatly. Now you might also notice there's a bit of wiggle room with the pads themselves, so I can move the whole system left and right. And that just gives me some wiggle room to make sure everything's nice and square by the time we put joists on. Now another good little trick, I can put my stump on my post, just like that. And instead of measuring, I can just mark the level directly on the stump. Take it out, cut it, and I know that'll be exactly where I want it.
While I finish off these stumps, I just want to take a quick moment to thank BuildTuff for sponsoring this video. Really appreciate them sending these out for me to try. And if you are wondering where you can pick up your own, you can get them from Bunnings or Lowe's, depending on where you live. If you prefer to get them online, there's an affiliate link in the description below, and you can use discount code LEVELUP10% for 10% off at checkout.
Now another little party trick that these TuffBlocks have are all these little raised dimples. So that'll still support timber, but actually gives moisture a chance to escape between those little bumps. And as we know, moisture is the enemy of timber.
I'm really happy with how these stumps are sitting now. I've double checked them with a level, they're ready for some paint. This stuff you might have seen me use before, which is just a timber preservative. The other thing I'm doing is adding some liquid nails to the top of the stump, and that's mostly to take up any variations in the timber or any defects like twists and bumps. And that's just going to help spread the load onto the stump properly. The framing nails are actually going to be doing most of the work as far as attaching the bearer to the stump goes.
So unfortunately for me, I did have to move things around a little bit. And what has happened with using this second-hand post, there's a bit of a twist in it. So that twist is creating a bit of a rock on the level. This is the unfortunate reality of working with second-hand timber.
With my first two joists almost nailed off completely, I can check everything for square, fudge things around a little bit, finish nailing off the end joists, and start deciding how I want to put the rest of the joists in.
Come on, come on, come on, come on. Ooh, that hurts. All right, we're so close to finish, it's not funny, but there are a few things I have to mention to you. First is this ugly duckling piece of timber. I had this laying around. It's just not quite long enough. It's not gonna matter. It's still gonna support the flooring. It still goes from one to our bearer. I did have to rip a 190 beam to get a couple of 9045s out of it because I was running out of treated pine around the house. So I'm sorry, that's a bit of an eyesore. I am about to cover that up with some cement flooring, which I'll show you in a minute. But before we put the flooring down, I need to talk about ground anchors. So there is a lot of engineering that can go into structures, big structures, when it comes to uplift. Now, I'm very confident this won't sink. The TuffBlocks are doing an amazing job of that. But when it comes to wind, uplift, places that are hurricane or cyclone prone, these things do matter. You can use these in cyclone areas, but you need the right ground anchor. So depending on where you are, the wind that you deal with is going to depend on what kind of ground anchor you need. You can actually use the TuffBlocks in conjunction with concreting stumps in the ground, so it just saves you digging as many holes, and you could use the TuffBlocks intermittently, and that way you're saving on digging, but you're also still getting the fact that the structure is keyed into the ground. For me, I will be putting some star pickets and screwing them into the bearers, and those star pickets are going to hold everything down and stop any uplift from occurring.
Where I live, we don't get tornadoes or cyclones or anything like that, so I am very confident that 4-star pickets is more than enough for my needs here. It is a small building, and I have sheds around the house that actually aren't tied into the ground at all, and they're yet to blow away. So this is plenty for me, for my situation, but if you're still unsure, you can always talk to an engineer. By this stage, you can put your flooring on. I'm using a cement-based product because I plan to tile inside the sauna later on. You can always use timber, chipboard, or decking, depending on what you're trying to achieve. So there you have it. In less than half a day, I've already built the subfloor. There's no waiting around for concrete to dry, and I'm ready to start building the rest of the sauna. Now, BuildTuff sent out 2 boxes of TuffBlocks for me to use. I only ended up using half a box, so we've decided to give away the other complete box to one of you watching at home. If you're interested in the giveaway, you'll find all the information you need in the full sauna build video. You can find a link to that video in the description down below. I'm really proud of the sauna, especially considering it was made from secondhand and salvaged materials. So if you've made it this far into the tutorial video, I know you'll appreciate the build video as well. If you are planning to build a deck, make sure you check out the BuildTuff website because they have a handy calculator there which helps you work out how many TuffBlocks you would need. And don't forget to tag BuildTuff and myself on your next build. All right, that's pretty much it for the nuts and bolts of how to use these TuffBlocks. Now we're a long way from finished. I've still got a whole sauna to build. And like I said, that'll be another separate video, and we are running a competition there. So you can have your own chance to win 12 of these TuffBlocks to get your next project underway. I do want to make a quick mention of permits. Now, when you're doing structural changes to a home or extensions, things of that nature, you generally need a permit. Now, there's an exemption where I live where you can build a shed or non-permanent structures without a permit, so long as they're under a certain square meterage. So for me, that's 9 square meters. This thing here is less than 4 square meters, so I don't actually need any permission from the council to build what I want to build here, so long as it's not too tall, but I know it won't be. So if you've got any concerns about those kinds of things, the beauty of this is you're building a structure that is genuinely relocatable. You could disassemble a few things and it's not concreted into the ground. So it's just win-win-win with these. I'm really happy with these. I'm really surprised at how quick I was managed to build this subfloor. I'm only halfway through my day anyway. I'm still going to be building walls later, but I'm just so surprised at how effective these are. I really like how versatile they are as well. Whether you want to do stumps or just straight up joists, I will be using these in the future in other projects, I'm sure of it. So I hope you found this helpful. I hope you guys can get out there, build a shed, build a cubby house, build a sauna, an office pod, whatever you like. Can't wait to see it. If you want to tag me in any of your photos, feel free to go ahead. Leave a comment below if you enjoyed this. And if you've got any more questions, just let me know down there. And I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.